Myra stepped off the shuttle, her eyes widening at the sight before her. The city of Solara stretched out like a jewel under the bright sun, its towers of crystal catching every ray of light and scattering it in a million colors. She had heard stories of this place, but seeing it in person was different. Every building seemed alive, as if the city itself was breathing. Her heart beat faster as she looked toward the crystal bridge, a shining arc of transparent crystal spanning a deep canyon. It was said to be beautiful, but dangerous. Few dared to walk it alone, and those who did spoke of the thrill mixed with fear. Myra had always loved challenges, and the bridge called to her like nothing else had. Carrying only a small backpack, she began her walk toward the bridge. The streets of Solara were filled with people going about their day, some carrying tools, others talking in soft voices, all moving with a sense of purpose and pride. Myra felt a strange warmth seeing so many humans working together, building a city in the middle of nowhere. Humanity had a strange power, the power to create, to adapt, and to shine even in unknown lands. As she reached the entrance of the crystal bridge, she noticed a figure standing near the edge, examining the structure carefully. He looked strong and confident, yet there was a calm kindness in his expression. Myra hesitated for a moment, then stepped closer. "Hello," she said, keeping her voice light. The man turned, his brown eyes meeting hers. "Hi," he replied with a small smile. "I'm Kian. Are you here to walk the bridge?" Myra nodded. "Yes. I've always wanted to see it up close." Kian studied her for a moment, then gestured to the bridge. "It's safe if you follow the rules, but some parts are tricky. I'm inspecting it today, so if you want, I can guide you." Myra felt a flutter of excitement. "I'd like that," she said. There was something in Kian's presence that made her feel both safe and adventurous at the same time. As they stepped onto the bridge, Myra could feel it beneath her feet. The crystal panels were smooth and warm from the sun. The city stretched far below, lights sparkling even in the late afternoon. The wind swept across the canyon, brushing her hair against her face. She shivered slightly, but the feeling was more thrilling than frightening. Kian walked beside her, pointing out parts of the structure. "These panels are made from reinforced crystal," he explained. "They can hold many times our weight, but the trick is to watch your step where the panels meet. Some of them can shift slightly over time." Myra listened carefully, impressed by his knowledge. "You must really love this bridge," she said. "I do," Kian admitted, a small smile playing on his lips. "It's not just a structure. It's a test, a challenge, and a beauty all in one. People come here to see it, but only a few truly understand it." They walked in silence for a moment, the sound of their steps mingling with the wind and distant city noises. Myra's eyes wandered over the glowing surfaces, reflecting fragments of her face and Kian's. She realized that while the bridge was magnificent, it was the company that made it memorable. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept across the bridge, making her stumble slightly. Kian caught her arm instinctively, steadying her. Their hands brushed, and a strange warmth passed between them. Myra's cheeks flushed, and she looked away, pretending to focus on the bridge. "You'll be fine," Kian said gently, giving her a reassuring smile. "Just keep moving forward, step by step." Myra nodded, her heart racing for reasons beyond the wind or the height. There was a pull between them, something unspoken yet undeniable. She realized that the crystal bridge was not just testing her courage, it was also tempting her heart in ways she had not expected. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Myra felt a thrill unlike anything she had ever known. The adventure had begun, and she was ready to walk the bridge not just across the canyon, but into something new, uncertain, and possibly life-changing. And Kian would be there with her, every step of the way. The next morning, Myra woke with the memory of the bridge still vivid in her mind. She could see the sunlight glinting off the crystal, feel the wind brushing against her face, and remember the warmth when Kian had steadied her. She could not wait to return. By mid-morning, Myra made her way back to the crystal bridge. Kian was already there, examining a section where the crystals met. He looked up as she approached, and his smile made her heart skip a beat. "Ready for the full walk?" he asked. "I am," Myra said, trying to hide her nervous excitement. They stepped onto the bridge, the surface glowing softly in the sunlight. As they moved forward, Kian pointed out different details of the structure. "Each panel is shaped to reflect light in a certain way," he explained. "It is not just beauty, it is designed to give strength to the entire bridge." Myra nodded, impressed. "It's amazing how something so fragile looking can hold so much." Kian chuckled. "That's humans for you. We can make things that seem impossible, as long as we put our minds to it." They walked in silence for a while, enjoying the view. Below them, the canyon stretched wide, and the city of Solara twinkled like a field of stars. Myra felt a thrill in her chest, a mix of excitement and awe. As they reached the middle of the bridge, a small panel shifted beneath Myra's foot. She stumbled, and Kian caught her hand quickly. "Careful," he said gently. "Some parts are older, but nothing dangerous. Just trust your steps." Myra's face warmed as she felt his hand against hers. She quickly looked away, pretending to focus on the bridge. But inside, her heart was racing. "You're brave," Kian said, noticing her flush. "Not everyone would walk here so confidently." "I'm not sure I'm confident," Myra admitted with a small laugh. "I'm just curious." Kian smiled. "Curiosity is a good reason. It makes people discover things they never imagined." The two continued their walk, talking about small things, the food in Solara, the way the city was built, and stories of people who had crossed the bridge before. Each story seemed to make them laugh, and the shared moments built a quiet connection between them. As the sun climbed higher, the crystals around them began to shimmer more brightly. They reached a narrow section where the panels seemed to float over the canyon, connected only by thin beams. Myra paused, feeling a mix of fear and wonder. "I think this is the trickiest part," Kian said. "Hold on to me if you need." Myra hesitated for a moment, then took his hand. His grip was firm but gentle, giving her courage. Step by step, they moved across, their hands occasionally brushing, sending little sparks of warmth through her. Halfway through, they found a small crystal alcove that reflected their images. Myra looked at Kian, seeing him in the soft glow of the crystals. For a moment, neither spoke, they simply looked at each other, the air between them filled with quiet energy. Finally, Myra broke the silence. "This is incredible," she whispered. "I've never felt anything like this before." "Me neither," Kian admitted. "It's not just the bridge. It's the company." Myra felt her heart flutter. There was something about being with Kian, moving carefully across the crystal panels, sharing stories and laughter, that made everything feel brighter, warmer, and more alive. As they reached the end of the bridge, the sun was casting golden rays across the canyon, making the crystals glow like fire. Myra realized that the bridge was not just a structure, it was a place that tested courage, built trust, and created unexpected connections. She looked at Kian, and for the first time, She understood the temptation of the bridge. It was not just the thrill of heights, but the chance to discover something or someone who could change her life. Kian caught her gaze and smiled, and Myra knew that this was only the beginning. The bridge had opened a path not just across the canyon, but into something new, exciting, and full of promise. And together, they would take the next step. The sun was dipping lower in the sky, painting Solara in soft shades of orange and pink. Myra and Kian returned to the crystal bridge, the air buzzing with anticipation. Today, Kian had promised to show Myra something few had ever seen, a hidden viewpoint tucked among the upper crystals. This way, Kian said, leading her toward a narrow path that branched off from the main bridge. The path was less traveled, and the crystals here glowed faintly, reflecting the sunset. Myra's heart quickened with both excitement and nervousness. "This part feels magical," Myra said softly, touching a glowing crystal. The surface was cool, smooth, and somehow alive with light. Kian smiled. "It is. Few people come here. I wanted to share it with you because I trust you." Myra felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. Trust was rare, and somehow, walking beside Kian, she felt safe enough to explore more than just the bridge. She felt ready to explore the edges of her own courage. As they climbed, the path narrowed, and the crystals seemed to lean closer, forming a tunnel of light. Shadows danced across their faces, and Myra noticed how the light caught Kian's hair and eyes. She looked away quickly, pretending to focus on her steps, but a flutter in her stomach betrayed her. Halfway up, they reached a tricky section where the crystal panels shifted slightly under their weight. Myra hesitated, gripping the handrail, unsure if her step was steady. "Here, take my hand," Kian said gently. "Step slowly. I've got you." Their hands met, and Myra felt a jolt of warmth. She concentrated on her footing, but she could feel the closeness between them growing. Every step required teamwork, every touch reminded her of the trust forming between them. As they continued, Kian began to speak about the history of the bridge. "These crystals aren't just strong," he explained. "They're part of a network, connecting energy from the city below to stabilize the structure. It's like the bridge has a heartbeat, and we're walking alongside it." Myra's eyes widened. "A heartbeat?" "Yes," Kian said, smiling. "It feels alive if you pay attention. That's why so many people say the bridge tests more than your courage, it tests your heart." The words stayed with Myra as they approached a small alcove hidden behind a cluster of glowing panels. The space opened to a breathtaking view. Solara stretched below them, its lights beginning to sparkle like stars, and the canyon walls glowed softly in the evening light. Myra gasped. "It's beautiful." Kian stepped closer. "It's even better when shared," he said softly, his eyes meeting hers. For a moment, the city and the bridge faded, leaving only the two of them in that quiet glow. Myra felt her heartbeat quicken. "I'm glad you brought me here," she said, her voice low. Kian hesitated, then spoke. "I'm glad too. There's something about sharing this that feels right. Like it was meant to be." For a long moment, they simply stood there, the wind brushing their faces, the crystals around them casting shifting reflections. Myra felt a connection she had never known, a quiet pull toward Kian, a mixture of admiration, trust, and curiosity about what might come next. Breaking the silence, Myra laughed softly. "I never thought a bridge could make me feel so many things." Kian chuckled. "It's not just the bridge," he said. "It's the company you keep." The sun dipped lower, and the glow of the crystals became brighter, illuminating their faces. Myra and Kian leaned against the railing, sharing stories about their childhoods, dreams, and fears. Every laugh, every shared secret, pulled them closer, and Myra realized the bridge had become more than a challenge, it was a place where hearts could meet. As they prepared to descend back to the main path, Myra took one last look at the hidden viewpoint. She knew she would remember this moment forever, the glow of the crystals, the city below, and the warmth of Kian's hand in hers. And she knew that this journey was only beginning. The bridge had secrets yet to reveal, and so did her heart. The next morning, Myra felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as she approached the crystal bridge again. Today, Kian had promised to show her more of the bridge's hidden paths. As she walked closer, she saw him waiting near the entrance, carefully examining the panels. His face lit up when he saw her, and Myra felt her heart flutter. "Good morning," Kian greeted. "Ready for another adventure?" "Absolutely," Myra replied, smiling. She felt a strange comfort in his presence, as if being near him made the bridge feel less intimidating. They began their walk, moving past familiar panels and toward a section Kian called the upper walk. The crystals here shimmered with a deeper glow, and the air carried a gentle hum, like the bridge itself was alive. Myra could feel the energy beneath her feet, and it made each step both thrilling and slightly frightening. As they reached the middle of the upper walk, the bridge trembled suddenly. Myra stumbled, gripping the railing, and Kian was instantly by her side. "It's okay," he said calmly. "Just stay close to me." The tremor shook a few panels loose, creating a small gap in the path ahead. Myra's breath caught in her throat. The canyon below seemed deeper than ever. Kian examined the gap and pointed to a safe path across. "We can get through if we step carefully, one at a time." Myra nodded, taking a deep breath. She felt her hands brush against Kian's as he guided her across, steadying her with gentle but firm touches. Every step required focus and trust, and with each movement, Myra felt a growing sense of connection between them. Halfway across, they noticed a small figure stranded near the edge of the bridge. It was another traveler, looking scared and unsure of how to proceed. Myra's instincts kicked in. "We have to help him," she said. Kian nodded. "Stay close to me, and we'll get him to safety." Working together, they carefully guided the traveler along the crystal panels. Myra held his hand while Kian steadied the path ahead. The wind swept across the canyon, making the journey more tense, but the three of them moved steadily, relying on teamwork and trust. Finally, they reached a secure section, and the traveler thanked them, his voice full of relief. Myra felt a wave of pride and happiness. "We did it," she said softly, smiling at Kian. "You were amazing," Kian replied, his eyes warm. "I couldn't have done it without you." Myra felt a flutter in her chest. It wasn't just the thrill of helping someone, it was the way Kian looked at her, full of admiration and care. She realized the bridge was teaching her more than courage, it was teaching her about trust, partnership, and the quiet strength that came from being together. As they continued along the bridge, the tremor left the panels slightly unstable, and Myra had to rely on Kian several times to keep her steady. Each touch, each guiding hand, sent little sparks of warmth through her, though neither spoke about it directly. Words were not necessary, the bridge itself seemed to carry the unspoken connection between them. By late afternoon, they reached a wide section of the bridge that overlooked the canyon. The sun was low, casting golden light across the crystals, making them shimmer like a river of stars. Myra leaned against the railing, taking in the view. Kian stepped beside her, their shoulders brushing. "The bridge is beautiful," he said quietly. but moments like this make it unforgettable. Myra looked at him, feeling a warmth she could not ignore. "I've never felt anything like this before," she admitted. "It's not just the bridge, it's everything, being here with you, helping someone, trusting each other." Kian smiled softly, his gaze steady. "I feel the same. This bridge brings out the best in people. And I'm glad it brought us together." The wind rustled around them, carrying the faint hum of the crystals. Myra took a deep breath and realized that the bridge was no longer just a challenge of courage, it was a place where hearts could meet, fears could be faced, and trust could grow into something more. As they turned to continue their walk, Myra felt a quiet excitement. The bridge still held secrets, and so did her heart. Together, they would face whatever came next, knowing that every challenge made their bond stronger. The crystal bridge had tested them today, and they had passed not just as explorers, but as companions discovering something new about themselves and each other. As the sun began to set, Myra and Kian paused at a quiet section of the crystal bridge. The crystals here glowed softly, reflecting the warm orange and pink of the sky. The city of Solaris sparkled below, and the canyon stretched endlessly beyond. It was a place of calm, a perfect moment away from the rush of the day. Myra leaned against the railing, her fingers tracing the smooth surface of the crystal. She felt a strange mixture of awe and nervousness. Today's challenges had tested her courage, but it was not the bridge that made her heart race, it was Kian. She felt drawn to him in a way she had never expected. Kian stood beside her, watching the glowing panels. For a long moment, neither spoke. The quiet between them was comforting, yet full of anticipation. Finally, Kian broke the silence. "Myra," he said softly, "there's something I've been wanting to tell you." Myra turned to him, her heart beating faster. "Yes?" she asked. I feel a connection with you," Kian admitted, his eyes steady on hers. "It's unlike anything I've felt before. Being with you here, walking the bridge, facing challenges together, it feels right. I can't explain it fully, but I know I want to be near you." Myra's breath caught. She felt warmth spread through her chest, a mix of relief and excitement. She had tried to ignore her feelings, but hearing him speak made everything clear. "I feel the same," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "I've never felt this way before either. Being with you, it makes everything brighter, even the dangers. I trust you, Kian. And I like you." Kian's smile grew, soft and genuine. He reached out, taking her hand in his. The simple touch sent a wave of warmth through Myra, stronger than any sunlight or crystal glow. For a moment, they just held hands, looking at each other, words unnecessary. The wind swept across the bridge, rustling their hair, carrying the faint hum of the crystals. Myra realized how much she wanted to stay in this moment, away from the world below, with Kian beside her. She felt a sense of peace she had never known, a certainty that their connection was real and meaningful. Kian spoke again, his voice gentle. "The bridge shows us many things, Myra. Courage, strength, but also truth. I think it helped me understand what I feel for you. And I want to explore that slowly, carefully, but fully." Myra nodded, squeezing his hand. "I want that too. I want to see where this goes, together." They stood side by side, watching the city lights begin to twinkle as night approached. Myra felt the cool breeze on her face, but it was nothing compared to the warmth she felt inside. The bridge had been a test of bravery, but now it was a place of trust and connection. "You know," Myra said softly, I never thought a bridge could be more than a path across a canyon. But with you, it feels like a path to something else, something new. Kian smiled, leaning slightly closer. Then let's walk that path together, he said, his eyes full of sincerity. The glow of the crystals reflected in their eyes as they shared a gentle, quiet embrace. It was not rushed or forced, it was simple, tender, and full of meaning. In that moment, the bridge, the city, and even the canyon seemed to fade away, leaving only them and the connection they had found. Myra realized that the journey was no longer just about adventure or courage. It was about trust, companionship, and the quiet power of human hearts meeting in unexpected ways. And as they stood there, hand in hand, she knew that the crystal bridge had given her more than breathtaking views. It had brought her to someone who made her feel alive in every way. As night fell, the city lights reflected on the crystals, creating a magical shimmer around them. Myra and Kian took one last look at the glowing bridge before slowly walking back toward the main path. Each step felt lighter, each moment richer, because they were no longer just walking across the bridge, they were walking together into a shared journey, hearts connected and courage renewed. And for the first time, Myra felt truly certain that some paths, no matter how dangerous or uncertain, were worth taking if it meant discovering something real, something lasting, and something filled with light. The night had settled over Solara, but the crystal bridge glowed softly under the moonlight. Myra and Kian returned to the bridge, their hands brushing as they walked. There was an excitement in the air, not just from the sparkling crystals, but from the sense that the bridge still held secrets waiting to be discovered. I've heard stories about a place called the Crystal Heart, Kian said, his voice low and thoughtful. It's said to be a hidden chamber within the bridge. Only those who are brave and true of heart can find it. Myra's eyes widened. A hidden chamber? That sounds amazing, and a little scary. Kian smiled. That's why I want to show it to you. But it won't be easy. The path is tricky, and it tests both courage and trust. Myra nodded, feeling a thrill run through her. She had already faced the bridge's challenges, and now there was a chance to explore something unknown, something magical. More importantly, she wanted to do it with Kian. They began their climb along the less traveled path, the crystals glowing faintly beneath their feet. Shadows shifted with the moonlight, creating patterns that seemed alive. Myra felt her heart race, partly from excitement, partly from the closeness of Kian beside her. Stay close to me, Kian said, gently taking her hand. Some panels here are unstable, and the path narrows. Myra nodded, letting him guide her. Step by step, they moved forward, their movements synchronized. Every touch of their hands, every supportive gesture, strengthened the trust between them. It was no longer just a journey across a bridge, it was a journey together, a test of patience, courage, and mutual care. At one point, a section of the path narrowed so much that Myra had to step carefully along a single glowing panel. Kian stayed just behind her, his hand ready to catch her if she slipped. She felt a surge of warmth as their hands brushed, a silent reassurance that they were facing the unknown together. Finally, they reached a chamber hidden behind a cluster of crystals. The crystal heart opened before them, a room bathed in soft light, crystals arranged like a natural cathedral. The glow reflected off the walls, creating a pattern that danced like fire across the floor. Myra's eyes sparkled with wonder. It's beautiful, she whispered, stepping inside. Kian followed, closing the door of crystals behind them. It's said that the crystal heart reveals truth, he said. It shows the courage, trust, and heart of those who enter. I think it's why it feels different here. Myra looked around, her eyes meeting Kian's. The space was intimate, magical, and quiet. "It feels like the bridge brought us here for a reason," she said softly. Kian nodded, taking her hands in his. "I've learned a lot about courage these past days," he said. "But I've also learned about connection, trust, and feelings. And being here with you, I realize how strong those feelings are." Myra's chest tightened with emotion. "I feel the same, Kian. I trust you completely. And I care about you more than I expected." They stood together, letting the calm glow of the crystals wash over them. No words were needed as they shared a quiet moment of closeness. The bridge, the chamber, and the night seemed to pause, as if giving them space to understand their own hearts. After a while, they explored the chamber, finding small crystal formations and patterns that reflected the light in playful ways. Laughter came easily, breaking the quiet tension and making the space feel alive. Myra noticed how much she enjoyed every simple moment with Kian, every glance, every shared smile, every gentle touch. Finally, they left the crystal heart, stepping back onto the bridge with hands still entwined. The moonlight reflected across the panels, making the crystals shimmer like stars. Myra felt a sense of wonder not just for the bridge, but for the connection they had built. "The bridge always surprises me," Myra said softly. "It challenges us, it tests us, and now, it shows us more than just its beauty. It shows what we're capable of together." Kian smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "And I'm glad I get to face all of it with you." As they continued walking under the glowing crystals, Myra realized the bridge had become more than a structure of stone and light. It was a place of courage, discovery, and heart, a place where two people could meet, grow, and learn to trust both themselves and each other. And she knew, with a certainty that filled her entire being, that whatever came next, they would face it together. The first light of dawn painted Solara in gentle shades of pink and gold. Myra and Kian returned to the crystal bridge, not as curious visitors, but as companions who had walked through its challenges together. Every panel, every glowing crystal, seemed familiar now, yet the bridge still held its quiet magic. "This place feels different in the morning," Myra said softly, gazing at the shimmering panels. "Like it's welcoming a new day and maybe new beginnings." Kian smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "I think it always does. The bridge reminds us to keep moving forward, step by step, together." They began their walk, the soft glow of the crystals guiding them. The canyon below was calm, and the city of Solara sparkled faintly in the early light. Myra felt a quiet joy in each step, knowing Kian was beside her. The journey had not only tested courage but had created a bond neither of them could ignore. As they reached the center of the bridge, Kian paused. "I think we should go to the highest point today," he said. "The view is incredible, and I want to share it with you." Myra nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and awe. They began to climb, the panels glowing brighter as the morning sun reflected on them. The wind was gentle, carrying a soft hum from the crystals. Each step required care, but they moved confidently, trusting each other completely. When they reached the top, the view was breathtaking. Solara stretched below them like a sea of light, and the canyon opened endlessly beyond. Myra took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill her lungs and the warmth of Kian's hand in hers. "It's amazing," Myra whispered. "I've never seen anything like this." Kian nodded, his eyes reflecting the sunrise. "And yet, this view is nothing compared to what I feel when I'm with you," he said softly. Myra turned to him, her heart swelling. "Kian. I feel the same." The bridge, the challenges, the crystal heart, it all led me to you. I trust you, and I care about you more than I can say. He stepped closer, taking both her hands in his. Myra, these days on the bridge have shown me so much courage, trust, and what it means to truly connect with someone. I don't want to hide my feelings anymore. I care about you, and I want to walk every path with you, whether it's across bridges, through life, or facing anything the future brings. Myra felt a wave of emotion. I want that too, she said, her voice soft but full of certainty. I want to face everything with you. The sun rose higher, casting golden light across the crystal panels. Myra and Kian shared a quiet, tender moment, their foreheads touching briefly, eyes closed, savoring the peace and connection between them. The bridge had been a challenge, a test, and a mystery, but it had also become a place of love, trust, and unity. After a while, they explored the summit, laughing and pointing at small crystal formations, discovering patterns they had never noticed before. The adventure had not lost its thrill, but now it was shared, and that made it richer. Every glance, every touch, every laugh strengthened the bond that had grown steadily over their journey. Finally, they sat at the edge of the bridge, dangling their feet over the crystal panels, watching the canyon stretch endlessly below. Myra leaned against Kian's shoulder, feeling the warmth of his presence. The bridge gave us more than courage, Myra said quietly. It gave us trust, friendship, and love. Kian nodded, wrapping an arm around her gently. And it will continue to give us more. Every step forward together will be part of the adventure. The city sparkled below, the canyon shimmered in the morning light, and the crystal bridge seemed to glow brighter, as if it knew the journey had reached a beautiful moment. Myra realized that the bridge had always been more than a path across a canyon. It was a symbol of human courage, connection, and the heart's ability to grow. Hand in hand, Myra and Kian stood, ready to walk back along the bridge. Every step felt lighter, every moment fuller. They were no longer two people walking a challenging bridge, they were partners, united by trust, courage, and the gentle blossoming of love. As they moved forward, the wind whispered softly around them, the crystals shimmered in greeting, and the canyon seemed to smile below. Myra looked at Kian and smiled, knowing that this journey, this bridge, and this connection would remain with her forever. Together, they walked toward the horizon, hearts aligned, ready for whatever new adventures life would bring.